Okay, this is Aaron again with Exalted Lamb 1, and I've got another video, maybe my last video possibly, for a few different reasons. One is if tonight or early this morning at 1 a.m. My time, which is Mountain Time, or 9 p.m. Hawaii time, or 3 a.m. New York time, actually just after that, because that's what it's showing in iPad Goat, just after that, 3 in the morning or 9 p.m. in Hawaii, if nothing happens, or I'm giving it to the 24th for sure, but if nothing happens, then I might just completely stop doing this. I think I've warned people enough. Well, we'll see what happens. I'll see what the Lord has to say and everything after that. Or this happens, and then I don't know from there actually. So I had to put this video together today because we're almost there. I know stuff's coming, and I'm sticking by 923. And I'm sticking by that because the Lord has led me here, and the evidence has led me here to 923/924. Because if it's 923 in Hawaii, it's 924 in other parts of the world, like Israel, and so you can have 2 days at the same time, as you know. So I'm sticking to 923/924 and all the evidence I've seen. And so, hey, if it doesn't happen, then so be it. Okay, I'm not worrying about it. And I'm not saying, "Thus saith the Lord." I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but I think it will happen. So as best I can gather by my evidence, like I said, I'm like an attorney with a case to try in front of a court to bring this case. I'm also a detective that brings his case. So that's it. And I'm going to liken myself to those kind of people. And if you don't like it, I don't care. To go forward here, I'm laying out a bunch of different things here. So I'm going to go back to my dream that I had because it's very apropos to what's going on right now. And this started the whole journey for me. Again, this is about 3 years and 3 months ago, and I had this dream. And I'm not going to get into every part of the dream. I recommend, I'll put a link in the description box. It's called "We Are in My Ark Dream," and I'll put that in there so you can check out the whole dream. But basically, I had a dream I was at McDonald's, and I sat down and had some friends there, and from the certain angle I was looking at it, sitting down like right here, it said 923, and then on the paper slash some other stuff that were on the tray, it said "America is laid low." And I couldn't believe it. I was very stunned on that and what that meant when I woke up. Again, I don't remember dreams. The only time I remember dreams is when, and especially vivid dreams, is when God has a message for me or Jesus is sharing with me something I need to know. So that started all out. And I didn't know what that meant. In fact, after a while, after a couple of years, I still didn't know what it meant. I thought it might be a date because there was a separation between the two, kind of like you see here. I think the 9 was kind of on a box and 23 was on another box or something like that. I can't explain what it looked like actually because it didn't make sense. I mean, I can't explain it. It didn't necessarily look like this, but I'm just giving my best representation. Um, so so anyway, and then later on, I realized what not going from 9 to 3, TO3 is, and in their belief system and their religion, the Illuminati, the global elites, the Luciferians, and what they actually believe. And so I thought, okay, this is a concept. It's not necessarily a date. And then here we come. We're about a month away from this date again in 2018, and it's really hit me like a ton of bricks. And then I find this huge information in iPad Goat with other people's help. Absolutely. And I want to give credit again to my family, my wife, my daughter. Of course, before that, I give credit to God and Lord Jesus Christ for their working in me mightily in my heart to change my mind and my heart to get to this information and to receive this information and to disperse it and what they're doing. Then I want to also thank all of you that have contributed, and you know who you are. I've mentioned your names before. I just don't want to get into every single thing, but Julian T and JK Bugout and all these different people. So, and all my subscribers, thank you so much for all you've done. So let's get to the nitty gritty here. So this dream has basically set the stage for me. And then I realized, as I said, about a month ago, this is the date. And I really feel like this is the date. It's a date and a concept. And I'm going to talk about that. So again, check out my dream. We are in my Ark Dream. Something like that. Okay. And then I had another dream a few weeks later. And this was I'm sorry. Yeah, this is the Ark Dream. The one before was actually, it's called 923 is 623, I believe. I'll have links in the description box, so it doesn't matter. Hey, this is live, so make mistakes here and there, but I'll have the links to each thing in the description box I'm going to talk about here. So, and I'm in this dream, and my family, we were at a outdoor mall like this, and there was this huge wave coming, and it was smashing things as it was coming. And I was telling people, screaming at people, "Hey, look! And there's a wave coming!" And again, you can watch the video for that, what that's all about. But basically, the biggest message about that is that we're in the Ark Dream now because this area, this public marketplace represents YouTube. The Lord showed me after a little while that when I started doing YouTube videos, when He was telling me, okay, now I want you to do YouTube videos, and I could have done them for years, but He said no. And I even thought about it. I've asked Him at different times for a couple of years, and He said no, 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 it's not time yet. And so I waited, and I recommend all people wait upon the Lord because it's the best thing you can ever do. It's the hardest thing you can ever do, really, and it really requires maturing and heart to change, your heart to change, and Him to change your heart in a lot of ways. And when you really wait on Him, the blessings and all the things you get are just they're immeasurable. So I had this thing. This thing was coming and it was destroying things, and then there was an ark in a field, and I was getting people into this ark with other people and waking people up, and there was every kind of response, just like on YouTube. I put this information out, and people were swearing at me, and people were ignoring me, and people were saying, "Yes, yes, I want to come," or "I believe this," and all this stuff. So it was really a crazy parallel to YouTube in this public area. And so we're in it right now. The wave's almost here. It's going to smash this this outdoor mall. These different places, the East Coast, the West Coast, Hawaii, all that stuff. And then once it hits, then the ark will open back up for a short time, I believe, according to what I've seen and what I know so far. I don't know everything. I don't know all the details exactly, but this is my best estimate and understanding at this point that the ark will kind of open up temporarily, and we will rescue people because of the severity of the situation. And people will wake up to a degree, and people will come to Jesus. A certain amount will, and then the ark doors will close, and then we will go up to heaven as the rapture of the bride of Christ. The ones who believe, the ones who not only believe, who are following Jesus, the ones who do not follow Jesus, they're staying here to endure some tribulation so their hearts change. And that's what God's into. And if you don't agree, it doesn't matter to me at this point. I'm not going to argue with anybody. I'm just giving you the message. And if I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, then so be it. Then we'll just all go through the tribulation. But I don't think that's the case for all the stuff I've been given. So check that out. So again, we have two dreams: my 923 America's Laid Low dream, and then we are in my Ark Dream is the other one. I'll have those in the description box. Okay, so and then it just so happens to be this day, 923, as you can see right here. Okay, 923 just so happens to be Sukkot, the eve of Sukkot, which is the Feast of Tabernacles. And I have a couple videos that I had that I posted a couple videos ago. Two people, Pearl and Jocko, basically, who have some great evidence. If you haven't watched those videos, watch them. Great evidence about Sukkot and how it is the next feast day to be fulfilled. Because on the right side of the menorah, it goes from right to left. It's lit from right to left, not left to right. Not the whole thing going across, left to right. When we get to the middle on the fourth feast, which is Pentecost, then we go from the right to the left. I could have had a graphic here, I guess, but I just wanted to explain this real quick. So Eve of Sukkot is a big deal, and that's also going into the 24th. So we're talking about 14th and then the 15th. So the 2 days are kind of together in a way in my mind because we have two different hemispheres. We have different hemispheres, the Western Hemisphere and the Eastern Hemisphere of the world, in a sense, I guess. So there's can be 2 days at the same time, of course, as you know. So Sukkot is a big deal, and I think the fact that what tabernacles means and all the details of that, it says that there's could possibly probably will be a rapture of some kind. Now, I have a little bit, quite a bit different understanding of the rapture than maybe most people, and I'm going to mention a little bit about that right now because we're almost there. So I'm going to say I have a couple. Um, I have some really big sources of some different things. The people who've done some massive research about what it means on the raptures as far as a few couple different raptures. Now, there's going to be, and if you don't agree, I don't. It doesn't really matter to me at this point, and I don't. I'm not going to argue about it or really get into it because we're almost there. So, as far as rapture goes, the first rapture I believe will be the innocents, the children, to up to the age of accountability, whatever that is. And I have a ton of scriptures to support that in the Old Testament, mainly because the prophets talked about Jesus being a lion that snatches the children away, kind of like a thief in the night. It's kind of crazy, and it's in some of the prophets. You can look it up. I may do a video. Yeah, I don't know if we'll have time or not, but I may do a video which shows all the scriptures on that. And then there'll be a rapture. I think it fits with this Ark Dream. That will happen right away first because this disaster is going to come. So God's going to take the innocents from the earth. And then there'll be a rapture of the bride of Christ when the bride has had a few days to be in the midst of the trial and tribulation with other people. And and the bride will bring people to the Lord in a temporary basis for a certain amount of days. And that fits my Ark Dream as well. And I said, this is biblical first, and then my experience down the road and other things. There's a lot of evidence I'm not even bringing on the table on these videos because there's just too much to share. And the Lord has me about this task of bringing out this specific information. Okay, so what it looks like is it could happen here, or sometime in between here, okay? And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 days right here. The last day of Sukkot is the 8th day, in a sense, and we could be leaving, the bride of Christ could be leaving on that day. That's my hypothesis at this point. I know there will definitely, without a doubt, be a rapture. Literally, I've had dreams about rapture. I've seen Jesus in his glorified form. I've seen, one of my first videos I ever did, if you go all the way back, it's called something like Antichrist, Rapture, Blood Moons, something like that. Blood Moon, Solar Eclipse, Antichrist, Rapture, something like that. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but in that I talk about my first dream I ever had, where I saw the Holy of Holies, and I saw the 24 elders on thrones, and Jesus and they were all in a crescent shape, and Jesus was in a center throne, and he wasn't there. He was coming down to get his church, his bride. Anyway, so there's a lot of reasons. I've seen pretty phenomenal things in different ways. So it's not just, for me, it's not just even, about reading the scriptures and everything too, I'm huge into that. I've been doing biblical research for a long time, 27 years. I know Hebrew and Greek, and I know how to understand these words and the context and all this kind of stuff. So we're basically almost to this point where the rapture is going to happen. And then once these two raptures happen, I believe, then there will be another rapture, which is talked about in Revelation, where it says, here's John, the Apostle John is in heaven, and he's seeing all this exceeding revelation. And then here comes someone over to him, one of the elders, who was there before he got there, actually, and before this huge group of people just showed up. So he was there first. He was in the first rapture. And then all these huge amount of people that he couldn't count. First, he saw the 12,000 of each tribe, or 12 tribes, the 144,000. And then he saw the too many to count. And then here comes an elder over to him and say, who are these people? And he goes, sir, you know who these people are. And he said, okay, these are they that have come out of great tribulation and washed their robes in the blood of the Lamb. Okay, so they went through the tribulation, and they are the elect at that time. But before the rapture happened of the bride, the ones who believed at that time were the elect. and then it was switched over to the new elect that started to believe during the tribulation. Anyway, there's so much to that, and I could whip out a lot of scriptures, but I'm not going to do that right now. It's not my main thing and what I want to show you right now. Okay, so let me move on here. Okay, so Trump, at this time, okay, Sukkot of last year, it's crazy. On the exact day of Sukkot, the first day of Sukkot, he said this, and it was very cryptic. In fact, a lot of the media freaked out about it, as they should, because it was very bizarre, and I'm going to play what he said.
You guys know what this represents? Memories the calm before the storm.
Lesser storming.
Could be the calm before the storm.
What storm is
We have the world's great military people in this room. I will tell you that. And we're going to have a great evening. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
What storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Give us a hint on your decision.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so Trump, as I've shown before in my videos, he's completely planted in the presidency. He's in iPad GOAT years and years and years before he was ever elected. He's on The Simpsons years and years and years before he was elected. He was elected president. All kinds of things. If you don't know, you need to look into it. All this predictive programming, and he's saying a very cryptic statement, which is basically there's going to be a storm, and it was not referenced by anything that was going on at that point. Nothing was happening that had to do with a storm. And they're all like, what's going on? What are you talking about? And they kept asking him, oh, you'll find out. And it just so happens to be exactly a year as far as the Feast of Sukkot, the last Sukkot, and then this one coming up is this destruction that's coming, okay, which I believe. Okay, so that's very bizarre. Okay, very bizarre for him to say something like that, because he's in the know. He is in the Illuminati club of these people, and they talk in code. And as they're getting closer to this destruction time, they're being more bold, and they're messaging themselves out there, and they're doing more than just predictive programming, this is part of predictive programming. Let me go to the next thing. Oh. Okay, so calm before the storm. Now, gematria, if you're not familiar with it, basically the Hebrew language and the English language, each letter has a number value to it. Okay, and that's what's so amazing, first of all, about Hebrew, is that it's the most mathematical language there is on the planet. In fact, it's all over the Bible as far as what God talks about numbers, and there's all kinds of people that have done immense studies on numbers and what like 7 means, and 8 and 2 and and 666 and 555, and I mean all these different things. Okay, so gematria is basically because every letter in English and Jewish gematria has a number value to it. When you add up a phrase or a word or something, it has a number to it, a total number. And then there are other numbers that have the same number. There are other words that have the exact same number. So that's how these guys communicate in politics, in different things that are going on. And because it's their religion, and they love to do this. They love to associate different words with other things and with events, and it's crazy. So when you look at what he said, calm before the storm, so I immediately thought, okay, that's a phrase that they use, and he's using it for a reason. So it just so happens to match exactly in English gematria, as you look right up here, right here, President Trump. Okay, so he said calm before the storm, and it exactly matches the same number. It's the exact same number as President Trump. That's bizarre. Another thing that's bizarre is I thought Statue of Liberty, because there's a calm before the storm. Well, I'm going to show you in just a moment how many times people have seen a storm regarding the Statue of Liberty. It's pretty crazy. Okay, and there's other words. I'm not even touching on everything right now. I hit certain things that I think are important, and I move on. So I just try to clip out the things that are important at the time. Okay, so that's pretty crazy. If you think about that, and the chances of these two things matching is pretty crazy. So let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so this was, like I said, it was October 5th, right here, when he said that. You can even look it up if you want. He said it on October 5th, Okay, so it was actually, I take that back. It was actually this day. I apologize. It was this day because it was in the evening. They were having dinner and stuff. And so it was actually the evening of what was considered to be, it was the 5th, but it was considered to be the 14th, so the Eve of Sukkot as well. So it's exactly, as far as the feast day goes, a year in advance on the same exact day. So that is an anniversary. And they like to do things on anniversary dates because it's all about numbers, it's all about timing with them, okay? And they can't, as you can know, you may notice his body language and everything, he could not wait to say what he was saying. He could not, he was so proud to say that calm before the storm. It was very bizarre. It did not fit what he said with his position and everything. It was just so bizarre. And if you watch him and you watch other people like Bush and Obama and these other people, when they say things like this, these cryptic messages and things like that, they look off and something's wrong. And if you kind of really watch their body language, they have a tell, like in poker, they have a tell. If you watch it, you can see it. And he had a big tell in my mind. Okay, so let's move on. Let's watch this. Now, I want you to, when you see this, this is the first movie that I remember having big tsunamis in it. And this was The Abyss in 1989, the movie The Abyss. There's so much going on with The Abyss. I mean, think about it. There's a character in The Abyss that calls it the bottomless pit, and it's called The Abyss. The main character, the lady in this, she calls it the bottomless pit at some point. And then we have waves. Notice that the waves are coming, these massive tsunamis are coming on both coasts, on the California coast and on the New York. Remember, I just showed you Statue of Liberty. Well, there's a disaster. He said, calm before the storm. Here's the storm that's coming, okay? And here's the Statue of Liberty getting smacked by the storm, this crazy wave, okay? And how many times have we seen that in movies? I'm not even going to show you all of them, but I'm going to show you most of them. There's just so much going on here. I'm just hitting certain things. So let's watch this. So keep in mind, you're going to watch a wave hit New York and California, and that's what I've been talking about on iPad Go. Is both, and many other things in predictive programming. It's on our money also. Jonathan Kleck does some crazy stuff about that. You fold money a couple times, and on a $100 bill, it shows on each side the destruction of New York with a giant wave. Here we go. All right, well, hey, that starts it off here. And this is crazy. I mean, if you really think about how many times you've seen these kind of things, I mean, and why? Why are we seeing these things in the last, 20 years or whatever it's been, 30 years? Because these things are getting closer to these actual events. It's not by coincidence. It's not a coincidence that we're seeing a lot of just tons of alien movies all the time. Because, and this is a subject I've not brought up hardly at all, or maybe at all in my videos, but I could get into extensively about aliens and the great deception that's coming about aliens. Now they're going to be the saviors with the Antichrist, and that's what's going to have people take the mark, and they're going to basically save the world with these aliens that are going to be false. They're going to be demons in bodies that have been printed up with these biological printers. Anyway, I'm not getting all that right now, but that's all coming, and that's going to be a big deception on everybody, even including the existing Christians that will be here. So let me go to the next thing. Yep. I keep doing that.
Viewer discretion is advised.
I want to pause here for a second. If you've noticed, there's been a couple times where it shows a full moon as this is happening. And it just so happens to be that tonight and tomorrow night, late tonight, I think, and going into tomorrow, is going to be the full moon. So it's pretty crazy that we have a full moon on several movies so far with the tsunami. Kind of crazy. Okay, so we've seen these a few times. Pretty ridiculous, kind of scary, of course. As you may have noticed that the one right before this one right here, the wave in 2016 showed a collapse of land. It looked like I haven't seen that movie, but it looks like land going into the water, which is what Hawaii is going to do. So pretty crazy how it's so close to this time, and that and it looks like that kind of event. So moving on to the next thing here. One second here. This thing is thinking, I guess. Okay, so I want to show you this next video because first of all, we have all this predictive programming that's gone on for like 30 years or more, whatever it's been. Okay, then we have these rituals that have been going on this year. This was in a couple of months ago, building up to this time. We have all these rituals happening in a row. And here's one called Tomorrowland, which you may have heard of, but it's a big event that Disney, of course, puts on. And it's all very it's got all this symbolism about the Antichrist and all this kind of stuff. But check out their theme for this year. That just happened a couple months ago here. Okay, so this is pretty latent with, it's got a tsunami. It has, the weather like the hurricanes. I mean, what have we been seeing the last few months? All these hurricanes slamming into all these different continents and things. It's pretty crazy. So this is, if you didn't know, this is a big ritual. And most people have no idea what's really going on. They're going along with it, and that's part of predictive programming. You're going along with it, and you don't question it. You don't say, "Hey, wait a minute, this doesn't sound good. This doesn't sound right. This doesn't sound biblical. This doesn't sound godly." So you kind of go with it. A lot of people go with it, and even these movies I was showing you, they kind of go with it, and I go, I don't know about, they kind of go with it, and that programs them. Plus, it gets them used to this idea, a lot of different ideas, and that's how the enemy works. He works very sneakily. He's very sly, and the things he does is very subtle and everything. And so that's one example here. Whoop. Okay, the next thing here is it's called Burning Man, and if you haven't heard about this, ended at the end of or the beginning of this month, September. And again, look at the full moon. It was going on during a full moon. All these events happen during full moons. They have a full moon going on at the time. It's very significant because the Antichrist is going to be revealed in a full moon, and I'm going to show you that in a minute here. But this theme for this year for Burning Man was Tree of Life. Does that have any biblical undertones to it? Is that like trying to create our own tree of life as humanity? Yeah. And I couldn't even show any video of this because it's so grotesque. It's so debaucherous. It's so bad that, I mean, it's such a bad event. People basically, it's like Candyland for adults, and they get to act the fools in every possible way, and they get to do whatever they want, however they want in this place, which is in a desert. Basically, I think it was a salt flats or something like that, whatever it is, or it's a desert. I can't remember exactly, but it's, and they get to just do whatever. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah in the modern times. I mean, if you ever seen any of this stuff or any of the footage, it's not for the, it's not for anybody really. But so this is a huge ritual, and they typically burn a big man, a big artistic kind of thing of a man, and burn it, and it's about basically putting off the old man and going into this new spiritual thing, which again, it's going, like I mentioned in my videos, going from 9 to 3, the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid, where people can basically do whatever they want. And that's actually the first commandment of the Satanic Bible. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. So people can sin like crazy, and that'll make them free, but it won't make them free. It's not freedom. Okay, then we had on 9/11. So this is a progression of rituals. And again, they're bringing this predictive programming on the back end for many years, these rituals coming up and one after the other, after the other, after the other, to give them more power to bring in the Antichrist and give them more deception abilities and everything. This is, like I mentioned in one of my other videos, the winged oculus, the winged eye. As you notice on the top there, I've talked about this, but the top is an eye. It's basically a skylight that opens only once a year on 9/11, and this opened for the first time on 9/11 here just a couple weeks ago. And does this look like something good and positive? It looks like a white version of an alien from Aliens, the movie Aliens. It looks pretty dang evil to me. I think most of you would agree. It's pretty crazy. But this was a complete ritual as well, and at the same time, we had another ritual going on at the exact same time. So we're multiplying rituals one on top of the other. And as far as we know, there's many other rituals going on, but they're not public. But there's plenty that are public, and I'm not even covering all of them, all the different rituals all over the world and in the United States. Okay, there's another ritual that happened at the same day, 9/11. Okay, it's of course the Tower of Voices dedication ceremony. And it was on Sunday, September 9th, again, a little over a week and a half ago. And look at the date, 9/9/18, which is 999, or upside down, 666. Okay? I mean, it's not by coincidence. And then look at the tower, that it's got like 40 chimes to it. 40 is pretty substantial in meaning as far as, the testing time and all that kind of stuff. It means so much biblically. But you have this, it looks like a big one, like one world, and it's the dawn of the one world. It was basically what that imagery is saying to me. Okay, so that's it's another big ritual. And people, again, a lot of people that were there have no idea what's really going on, but they're participating in the ceremonies and stuff from demons who put this together, and they're demonized people, their subjects, like Trump, like other people, like people in government, all kinds of people, and people have no idea that they're participating in this. And at some point they'll have to actually participate in this or be killed or take the mark or not. And it just so happens to be 666, which is referring to the mark and what's coming with the beast system. Okay? And so this just so happens to be, let's go back to Jewish gematria again. So this just so happens to be 993. Okay, so basically you look at on the bottom there, Shanksville, that's where it was. That's where that ceremony is held, the Tower of Voices, in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And I thought it was a very odd name. Well, you know what? They picked out this place, and they launched a missile and hit this place. There was no wreckage found. In fact, I've said this before, the coroner that was supposed to examine the scene where that supposed Flight 93 hit, he never found one drop of blood and not one body. He didn't see anything. So that's what he said. and it just happens to be Shanksville on the bottom you see there, just so happens to be in gematria, Jewish gematria, 993. And of course, this is all about flight 93. And of course, like I said, they believe they want to go from 9 TO to 3, the bottom of the pyramid to the top of the pyramid. Okay? And so they're doing all this crazy stuff. Now look, 993, which is flight 93, and Jewish gematria 993 is also, look, 96. Okay, it's also 69. Okay, that's pretty crazy. If you know anything about these numbers, so 96 is the crossing, 69 is the crossing, 96 is backwards, but 69 is significant because I'm going to show you some stuff something that Trump said at that ceremony. But one of the things that he's going to say is about 69. He tells a story involving 69. I'm going to show you that. But 69 is 3 sets of 23 chromosomes. Okay, so George Bush, on I think it was the year after 9/11, or maybe 9/11, a little after 9/11, he's basically spoke Psalm 23. He said Psalm 23. And then Barack Obama, about 10 years after that, on 9/11, he said Psalm 46. Again, 23 chromosomes, and then another 23 chromosomes is 46. And then here comes Trump saying a story involving 69. That's another 23 chromosomes, which actually represents a few things. That's the crossing over. 69 is a crossing over, which is the bride of Christ crossing over, or the rapture crossing over into heaven. Also, the Antichrist crossing over, or the devil crossing over to the physical realm and manifesting in a man, which is Barack Obama, by the way, if you didn't know. And I'm going to talk more about that, but and that's a crossing over. So it means multiple things. It means 3 strands of DNA also in the mark of the beast, and it also means a crossing over. So it's no coincidence that Jewish gematria number 993 equals 69 and 96 and Shanksville. They're saying these and doing these things on purpose. They're all designed, as you can see. If you're really looking, if you're paying attention to what I'm saying, and you have some eyes to see. Okay, and I've shown this in another video of mine, basically and I do a whole presentation on this about how they want to go from 9 to 3, and this is what's on our dollar bill. And so we have this date on the top here in Roman numerals, 1776, and basically they spread those letters out through 3 pyramids, left to right, top to bottom, and then they just keep adding the numbers together. So, for example, let's say you get 1 and 2, that's 12, and then you add 1 to 2 and 12, and that gets you 3. So there's an example of they want to go from 666 to 777. 666 is illusion and carnality and this world, to they want to go to 777, which is God's number, and it's weird because they've made it their own. They want to become gods. So it's going from 9 to 3, and they love the number 93. Okay, hence September 23rd or 923, or going from 9 to 3 or 93. I mean, that's just all in their cultic rituals and their beliefs and the Illuminati religion. Okay, so I want to preface that a little bit more in this one, even though I've talked about it in my other videos. Okay, so let's see what Trump actually talks about, referring to 69, and how he uses this heartfelt story. You know, he couldn't bring himself, I'll bet you, to talk about a psalm, or Psalm 69, or whatever, as an example, because, you know, when he was asked if he's ever asked for forgiveness by a pastor, he said, I don't need to ask for forgiveness. I just do better the next time. And he says he's a Christian, and he's not. Okay, it's ridiculous. I mean, there's no Christian that's never asked for forgiveness if they're a real Christian. It's a cornerstone of the Christian faith to confess your sins. He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and will cleanse us from all unrighteousness, is what the Bible says. So watch what he says about this in the middle of his speech.
Here with us today is Dorothy Garcia Lockton. Her husband, Sonny, was one of the passengers on Flight 93. On September 11th, 2001, just over a month after their 32nd wedding anniversary, Sonny was on his way back from a business meeting He called Dorothy, who he loved so much, called her on the plane, and uttered her name before the line went dead silent. In the days after the attack, Dorothy told the investigators there was only one thing she wanted from this field: her husband's wedding ring. They would know it by the inscription etched inside. All my love, it said, followed by the number 8269, the date of their anniversary. The officers, great people, promised to try, but in this field of records, it seemed certainly impossible. Dorothy began to pray, and she asked her friends to do the same. Days went by, then months. Still no ring. A week before Christmas, on December 19th, she heard a knock at the door. Two officers were standing with a really beautiful, to her, she saw it was so beautiful, she knew what was happening. A beautiful, small white box. Inside it was a wallet, a luggage tag, a driver's license, a small bag with the wedding ring inscribed with those three precious words: all my love. Those words echo across this field. And those words tell the story of 40 men and women who gave all their love for their families, their country, and our freedom. To Dorothy and to every family here today, America will never forget what your loved ones did for all of us.
Okay, so he used the 69, and now let me go to this.
Here with us
I don't know why he keeps doing that. Anyway, so he mentioned this lady in this story, and she got this ring, and her name is Dorothy Bachler. Okay, and with gematria, it's basically in English gematria, Dorothy Bachler. Again, they picked these people, and they're probably real people, but they picked their names. He could have done a story about any of the people in that, but he picked their name because it matches in gematria. This is their messaging. So it just so happens to match English gematria of 924, which is, well, again, we're talking about 923 and 924. Okay, and then just so happens, it so happens to match the Antichrist. Okay, and that's what we're talking about here. They're birthing the Antichrist here. And it also matches, and somehow God gets in there, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Messiah. So, and maybe even second coming and whatever, and there's other things. So it just so happens to match that. It's this is designed by demons, by the people who are behind this. Okay, and I want to show you something here. So I was talking about the full moon. Okay, in iPad Goat. If you're not familiar with it, I'll have a link to in the description box of iPad Goat. It's about a 7.5 minute movie. It's an animated movie, and it's really 9/11 number 2. It's what the Illuminati is planning to attack America, to basically end America, and start their new world order and make chaos and cause order to come out of chaos. Okay, and then out of that is going to come the Antichrist. And so on the 24th, and I was just showing you that, the 24th, 9/24, is a full moon. Okay, and it just so happens that the disasters that I've seen the evidence of are 9/23 into 9/24, depending on where you're at, just after 9 p.m., I don't know how much after, but just after 9 p.m. in Hawaii on 9/23, it'll happen. And then basically 3 a.m. in New York, 9/24 technically, on a full moon that day will be that disaster, which is at the same time, but it's 2 different days. That's why I say 923/924. And so when I was just showing you 924 in Gematria, the Antichrist, which is this lady's name that he's mentioning, and the other things he's said, which mean different things. I mean, this sounds all, yeah, it's a nice story. I mean, I wish it was true, but these people lie. I mean, Trump has already lied so many times, said things he would do and he's not doing. I mean, all kinds of stuff. He was for Syria and now he's fighting against them. I mean, all kinds of, every single politician that's been there has lied numerous times, some more than others, like Barack Obama. But anyway, I think they're all liars, actually. And Trump is probably even worse because he's a false good guy. Okay? Obama is as well, but when you act like you play on the good team and you're against God, I think that's worse in my mind. So let's move on. Okay, and so one of the things he said in that speech, before, which I didn't show because I didn't want to show the whole speech, earlier Trump said the Tower of Voices is a monument to American defiance. Okay, and immediately that stuck out for me. Okay, American defiance. First of all, it hit me just right where it's like America's defying God is what he's really saying. American defiance. When a child is defiant, it means they're going against the right thing. Okay, so defiance, it can also be used in a good way, of course, but it stuck out for me that way. Plus, you could say any other phrase, but you're saying American defiance. So anyway, I immediately thought, oh, let me look this up. And of course, in English Gematria, American defiance equals 666. Okay, are you kidding me? I mean, I could have already figured that out without even looking it up. I mean, he says these weird phrases out of order, and they don't fit with what should be said, like when he's talked about the calm before the storm. It's very bizarre. Okay, so let's go to iPad Goat and some things I want to point out again and some other things. So here is Lily in iPad Goat, and of course behind her is the 12 figures. And these are the boys, and I call them boys because I find out earlier this year on 6/23, June 23rd, which 6/23 is Barack Obama's Gematria number in Jewish Gematria, which just happens to be everything's 6/23. These boys were trapped in this tunnel underground with the water down in there and everything. As you remember, these Thai boys, they were trapped, and that's why they're sitting there looking bored. And I didn't know about this for a long time. I was looking at this a year before this actually event happened, but they went into the tunnel or the cave on 6/23. It just so happens to be 6/23. Yeah, right. But it also represents 2017, and there's 12 months of 2017 behind her. And then she represents the beginning of 2018. So I could get into all this right now, but I'm not going to, because I'm going to leave both links to two different videos I did on which big breakthroughs on iPad Goat. If you haven't seen any of my stuff yet, she represents 2018. So this is all going to happen in 2018 is my point. Okay, so this date, 9/23, it's not just 9/23 in any year, it's 2018. She represents 2018 for a number of reasons, and I won't get into all of it right now. And there's a number of reasons why that back row of those boys, each head is a month. Now, I'll just say one thing right now. Well, two things. See this yin and yang symbol right here? Well, in the Chinese lunar calendar, the January started out the lunar month in the Chinese lunar calendar of 2017, which is the year of the rooster, and it was the yin year, and this is the yin part of the yin and yang. So that's January, and then we have all around here. We have Trump right here with the hands and the triangle. I'm not gonna get into all that. Then over here to the 8th month, the back row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and the 7 to 8 headed joined for a reason. But right here is the eclipse that happened in August of 2017, and there it is. There's a moon in front of a sun. Moon in front of a sun. There's a number of reasons. Well, I'm not going to get into all this. But my point is that this is 2017, and then she brings in the ball, or it used to be the apple that fell in New York in Times Square. It used to be an apple in the 80s, and then it switched to a ball. But she drops this ball right here over something right here. What does she? So it's the fall of New York, which is the Big Apple. Fall of New York, the fall of it on this date right here. Okay, now what is that? Well, hold that thought for a minute, and I'm going to go to the next thing. This is another scene in iPad Goat, and I mentioned that again in my last video, which is a massive breakthrough. And we have, if you squint your eyes kind of looking at this, this is HI. Squint your eyes a little bit, and you can see the more of the shadow here when you squint your eyes. But that's an island, and that's HI for Hawaii. And then we have Olivia right here, represented right here. Okay, and this is a transition between two scenes. And then it shows Hawaii right here. This is Hawaii, the island of Hawaii right here is that shape. And then you have like a storm going on over that. But then right here you see this massive explosion right here, which is right where Kilauea is. In this transition, you can only see it in this transition. And it's you got volcanic ash and, you know, just exploding right here. Boom, boom, whatever. And this is a date and a time. A date and a time. Now let's just show you. Remember Lily's dress and this right here. Let me show you again. And this is in my last video, but I have a link for the description box. So this is 9:23. So look at 2, 3. And where's the 9? Right here. 9. There's a 9 right here, and there's a 2 and a 3. 9:23. And then we have a similar looking thing right here to this. It's very similar. Thank God I found this. Then we have a 2. Basically, I'm not drawing it complete because I want you to be able to see it. And then we have a 3 right here. And then we have a 9 right here. 9. 9:23. So it's confirmed. And I have other 9:23s, but I'm not going to get into everything right now because I want to get to some more points. Okay, so there you go. And then we have Obama, who's acting innocent. Okay, he's like, oh, I'm innocent. But he's looking up. He's looking up here at 9 right here. If you can see it, I'm going to just circle it. 9. And that little spot, this little dark spot should fit right up here. And it would complete a 9. But they're not going to make it so obvious. That's a 9. And then right here is a 2. Right here. Okay, actually, you know what? Let me get to the slide. I realize I have another slide. Oh, by the way, when 9:23 that he's looking at right here, his tassel's hitting the shark. And that is the submarine that's off the coast of Hawaii that's basically going to launch a torpedo, nuke torpedo into Halaina Slump, starting this event. Okay, so his tassel's always telling the truth when he's acting like he's innocent. Okay, but I'm going to show you this a little bit better here. So we got 9 right here. That little piece goes right over here, and that makes a 9. And we have a 2 right here. 2 right here. And then you follow the 2 up here, and we have a 3 right here. 3. 9:23. Okay? So, if you don't see that, I can't help you, but it's there. Okay, and he's looking up there. He's also looking at the owl, which is Molech, which these guys worship Molech as well. So, I'm going to get into all that. All the presidents do. Okay, now let's watch this now.
That's before September 2044.
Will, we have minutes.
Try not to act like
What is that supposed to mean?
Shut up.
We're gonna die, Will. Do you want to die?
Shut up!
Where are you going with this?
What if Jane realized that someone was following one of his scenarios? You know, making it look like a predicted pattern of malfunction. You know, disguising a crime like a series of accidents.
It might actually be a series of accidents. If it were, they wouldn't have killed him.
Someone has weaponized Dutch Boy.
There are tens of thousands of storm simulations in
9:23.
They all end the same way. A geostorm.
But we haven't much time. We need to be ready in 10 days. Because next Thursday at exactly 9:23 a.m., the X-Force One satellite will be directly over Riverton. Tell me when to count. Tell me when to count.
Yeah, hi. I was just in the neighborhood and thought I'd drop off your soup thermos.
Thanks. What did you do to yourself?
Nothing. Nothing. I was just doing a little work outdoors. Got some sun.
I just don't get it. We replaced all hardware after Python was here. Every keyboard, mouse, cable, everything.
You replaced the chargers
Yeah, chargers, computers, we replaced it all.
and the surge protector.
Whoa. Okay, let's go.
fixed?
Oh, sorry. Somebody's going to swear here. This guy's going to swear. So if you don't want to hear this, you can either fast forward a little bit or close your ears or something. Sorry, I was going to mention that, but
To the tune of $239 for a fucking taillight.
You didn't really think you could get away from us, did you?
Please enlighten me, Agent Mulder, how 9 years of college, 3 degrees, and 2 years at Quantico has left me such a simpleton.
Principal's log, September 23rd. Check, check, check. Sound check. And that is how I, Principal Collins, became the mastermind behind this glorious plan. It's the crime of the century.
You think that combination's safe in your mind, Stanford? Well, we'll see what my new minion has to say about that. Triangulum, Entangulum, Veniforus Dominus Mentium, Veniforus Venetis Armium!
Slipped away again in Jakarta. Hours before a passenger plane vanished over the Pacific with 236 passengers.
Аэропорт Макарен. Доктор Майлз.
Твою мать, док, почему так долго? Господи Иисусе.
Прости, не видел твое сообщение.
Do you believe that thoughts have mass? That ideas such as faith and forgiveness have weight, much the same way this desk has weight, or any material, really?
You are too much, Agent Mulder.
Remember, reality is an illusion, the universe is a hologram. Bye, Gold, bye!
Is the future truly set?
okay. Yeah, death, September 23rd. Yeah, unfortunately. These people are sick. And did you just see that before it went to that? It said rebirth. So they want a rebirth of this world. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot of 923s. If you didn't see them all, go back and look at them again. But so I have this hypothesis about this. That first of all, if you can remember, if you were on the internet and you were kind of following some of this, the first big hype of 923 was in 2015. Barack Obama met with the Pope here in the United States. It was very unprecedented. Pretty crazy things happened. I think they really sealed a deal, a pact with each other. I think there was had some serious repercussions for the United States at that time. I think the Lord showed me that. So that was a big deal, and it was very hyped. And then a lot of people said rapture at that time, tons of people, and then it didn't happen. And I think a lot of false people, a lot of the enemy, the devil, was basically putting that out there like crazy. And then we had the next big hype was, of course, September 23rd for the Revelation 12 sign, and there was a lot of hype for that. And I think there was a good amount of enemy hyping that as well, even though that was legitimate as far as the time. But and so that was very much hyped. Okay, so in some of these dates that you see in these movies, there look like there may be 15s associated, or maybe even 17s, or they don't even show anything. But I think what it's ultimately showing, and I'm going to show some of these, it's basically talking about 18, 923:18. This is the time for so many reasons. I mean, we're really looking at the 70-year anniversary of Israel. I just mentioned in one of my videos just a couple of days ago was the 21st, which was the 70-year anniversary of the UN, which again parallels in the same year, 70 years, the evil UN with their agenda of peace and safety. and how that is going along with these birth pains. And I have a little video about that you should watch a couple of videos ago. It's pretty crazy. So there's a lot going on at this time. And so my hypothesis is that they're kind of mixed. There's a mixture out there. There's September 23rd, just in general, because they were looking for that day. By the way, the September 23rd is also 623, is the Day of the Dead Sheep. So when they make this like 666 symbol over their eye and stick their tongue out and maybe wink one eye, that is 623. And I've shown that in one of my a couple of my videos, and then a lot of stars, a lot of people in music and TV, do that and make that symbol or that little symbolic thing. And they're looking for the Day of the Dead Sheep. So the 23rd can be the 2015, can be 2017, could be but I think there's several that show the 2018. Of course, the 2015 and 2017 have already passed, so it can't be those anyway. But my point is that those are very hyped. Okay, and do you hear any hype right now? Yeah, it's pretty quiet, like I've just been just right now. Crickets, for the most part, except for me, maybe a few other people. Okay, it's not hyped out. Why is that? Because they don't want people to believe in it. And if they believe in it, they're going to go with the Lord. That's exactly what the devil... Why would he care if they believe in it or not? Why would he care if it's hyped or not? If this stuff's going to happen anyway, and it's on their schedule for it to happen anyway, why would it matter? And it's just this silence is deafening to me. So hopefully you get that as well. So I'm going to show you a few things in movies. And I just picked a few. I'll bet you I could come up with 50 or more. But I just picked a few because I don't have a lot of time to do it. And I spent enough time all day doing this. I'm going to pick a few here. Okay, so this was an actual broadcast by CNN. I don't know when it was exactly, but if you look here, and this is not the best part, but I like how it's right next to this. This says 9:23. Again, this was supposed to be a real broadcast on the New York Stock Exchange, and you have this guy has 9:23 on his arm, stitched on his arm, and then right here, guess what? There's a year. Well, it could have been meant 15 at the time to throw people off, but if you just add 3 to 15, it's 18. So this is 9, because you have a colon right here. 9:23:18. There's one example. Okay, this is the movie Lucy, okay, and where Scarlett Johansson plays this character that's basically, I think it's a reference to the Antichrist. It's crazy, okay, but I'm going to show you even more about the Antichrist. But it's basically a being that she took some stuff and she's given some stuff, and she basically becomes a god in a human body, okay, which is a type of Antichrist, and it's a female. Again, the Antichrist is somewhat effeminate, I guess, because he not interested in women, which kind of fits Barack Obama very much so. But right here, as you see, look. 9:23:18. Of course, if I didn't mention before, things are backwards and upside down. That's how the enemy does it. So occasionally you'll have an upside down letter, or backwards numbers, or upside down numbers. It's all in iPad Go. It's all in all these predictive programming stuff, and all in all these movies and TV shows and all this stuff. It's upside down, backwards. Sometimes it's right in your face. Like when that one guy got in the truck, and it's right there. It says 9:23. Boom. Okay, but a lot of times they're hidden. They're not going to make all of them, so obvious. It's just ridiculous. Why would they do that? But listen, look at this. This movie's name is Lucy. Okay, now if you do this, so this is 9:23:18. This is today. Now look here. Look up Lucy in Gematria. And like I said, Lucy in this movie is representing an Antichrist person. So first person to reach God status. If you watch the movie, you'll see that. And it just so happens to be Lucy is 6:23. By the way, that's that sign over someone's eye with it looks like an OK over the eye, blinking the other eye, tongue sticking out sometimes. That is 6:23. Okay, and that's Lucy, which also matches Barack Hussein Obama. Just happens to. Are you kidding me? Just happens to match. Okay, there's other crazy stuff that match too, but it just so happens to match that. No, I'm sorry, it's not a coincidence. This is planned. The name of the movie and what the movie is about the Antichrist, which happens to be Barack Hussein Obama. Okay, here's another one. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies, and he's in his, he's a secret agent or whatever, and he just so happens to reach out and just point for a second. He's talking about something, he ends up pointing like forward. And what is he pointing at when he does it for just a second? He points. He's literally pointing at the exact thing they're trying to say, and he's pointing at this. So you see 9, above it is 2, across from that is 3, and so that's 923, of course, right? But then look down from 3, there's a 1, and then there's a 0, which doesn't count for anything, and then there's an 8. 9, 23, 18. Wow. Just so happens to be today. Crazy. Okay. And here's a movie called This Is the End. Okay, This Is the End. Yeah, it just so happens to be called This Is the End. It's about the end of the world. Seth Rogen is the character right there. And someone asked him to do his laugh and everything, and it's on video. And the video happens to say 9:18:23, which is 9:23:18. There's tons of these out there. Okay, not all of them say that. Sometimes it's just 9:23, like I said. Sometimes it's 9:23 with a 15. Sometimes 9:23 with a 17. Sometimes 9:23 with other hidden things and names and things that you got to figure out, because that's their hidden messaging. So that's my hypothesis, and I believe I'm kind of proving it. Okay, here's Terminator 2, the movie that a lot of people have seen, Terminator 2. Well, look at this license plate. It shows 999232. We got 923 in there. And then look, in front of the 923, you've got 99, which equals 18. So that's 923:18. Okay, it's pretty simple. And now, when she gets in the car and takes off, and then this guy, the T-1000, starts chasing him, and then he basically grabs onto the back of the car, it's a different license plate. And so this confirms it. In fact, it's a different license plate. I'm sorry, it's supposed to be the same license plate, but it's a different number. And so this confirms it. You got the 999, but guess what? It's just the 999, so it's upside down. It's 666. And that 199 is confirmed at the very end, which is an 18. That's what I feel. That's what I believe they're saying here. Okay, you could see it in a different way, but this is how I see it. Here's another Simpsons episode that tons of Simpsons stuff that predicted the future. But again, it's not a prediction really, because God predicts the future. God has prophecy. These guys just falsely do it. They say they're going to do it what they're going to do ahead of time, and then they just work it out in their plans and their secrecy and their technology and all that kind of stuff. So here's an example here of 923 going from right to left, 923 and 18. 923:18. I mean, some of these are almost quite as obvious as you can get, but I don't know about super obvious. They're not super obvious to most people. Most people just don't pay attention to what this is. Okay, but I think I'm showing there's a pattern here in a lot of things. Okay, this is a show called Legion. I've never seen it, but it's a TV show, and it's pretty kind of creepy or whatever, but there's someone writes this thing on the wall. Now, you can look at this a few different ways. You can look at this as 9:23:17, all the numbers on the right there. Okay, but it's already passed, and maybe that was something to get people to believe in the 17, but that didn't happen. But look over to the left. You have 11 plus 7 is 18. 7 plus 11, whatever. Okay, now look at any other possible dates. Nothing really works there. And if it does, it's already passed. So nothing really works. The only thing that would really work would be 2 and then 0, but it does, I mean, it's possible, but you got a colon or whatever that 3-dot colon thing is right there. So usually they separate and then you add them to each other like that. But anyway, so it makes more sense 9:23:18 on this case. Now I want to talk to you about this movie. A lot of people have seen this movie, Castaway, with Tom Hanks. And it just so happens, this is, when you have 9:23 sometimes 3 or 4 times in a movie, and then you have all these movies that have it, I mean, people, this is not a coincidence. If you think it is, you're not thinking. You don't know what mathematics are, you don't know what probabilities are, any of that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's an example of it a couple times in the movie. As far as I can see, there may be more that I couldn't see, but he's on a deserted island, so there's not a lot of 9:23s printed all over the place. There just isn't. Okay, but here, he's in the FedEx plane, traveling over the water, and he ends up putting down his this watch, right? And as he's putting it down, it says 9:23. You know, the winder part is on the right side, and the top of it is where the winder part is where the 3 is. So if you go down from there, it's 23, and then across there is 9. So it's 9:23, and as soon as he sets it down and looks at it, then destruction starts happening. The plane starts going crazy. He flies around, the plane crashes. So that's another thing I didn't really mention. In a lot of these movies and TV shows, when they, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, when you see a 9:23, there's immediate destruction and a crazy event, of disastrous event happening around the same time. So that's another part of it. That's more dimension to it than just the 9:23 being, oh, there's a 9:23 in there, big whoop-de-doo. It's about disaster. This means disaster's coming at 9:23. Okay, then watch. So he's on the desert, the tropical island. By the way, it's a tropical island in the middle of the Pacific. It sounds a little bit like Hawaii. Okay, and Hawaii is going to be hit with this disaster. Okay, very, very soon today. Okay, so you have, off a dead person, he pulls out his wallet that's on this island, and his name is, he says his name, he says Albert. Oh, his name is Albert, not Al. Okay, but you notice the AL in Albert is smudged out from the water. He was floating in the water. So yeah, it makes sense that some things are going to be blotted and some things are going to be smudged out or whatever because of the water. But they use this to their advantage for their message, of course. So look here where it says 9/23/87 as far as the higher date. You can't see the higher date very well there, but that's what it is. Okay, and then look at the relationship between the 87 on the right side and all the way to the left of that line, you'll see a 1-8. And then next to that is a 6-6 and then a 0-1. But look at that. So it's 18 right there. So you could easily, where the 8-7 is, you can move on the opposite side, you can replace it with a 1-8. It's just how these guys do this stuff. You got to kind of use a little bit of logic, a little bit of, it's kind of a puzzle. Okay, then also next to the 1-8 is 6-6, which is upside down 9-9. 9 plus 9 is 18. So there's, in here, that's just obvious. There's an 18 in there. Okay, now some people go, oh, what's the chance of that and everything? Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you don't agree, I'm not going to convince you. But look at also 9:23, it says 87. That could be 15. So again, we have 15. Again, another one to throw people off. But then the real thing is hidden. The 18 a couple times is hidden. Okay, so I've even more to this. So we have 9:23 happen a few times in this movie already. And then check this out. So Albert, which is what Tom Hanks actually calls him, Albert, okay, because I guess he goes by Al in the movie, but he goes, oh, his name is Albert. So Albert, in Jewish gematria, is Rothschild. Now, this is weird because, okay, this is these weird associations. If you know a little bit about this, in fact, you can read a lot of things, and by knowing some of this stuff, it's pretty crazy. I'm reading into a lot of stuff. It's pretty crazy. So remember, this is like the Hawaiian island. So this is an island in the middle of the Pacific. And then on Hawaii, what's going to actually happen is the East Rift Zone is going to fall over the Halaina Slum and cause a massive tsunami, like we saw in that predictive programming for that movie called The Wave in 2016, which is a massive avalanche of land going into the water, and that was in 2016. Okay, so really close to this event, definitely closer than those other disaster movies that I showed. Okay, so Rothschild is the huge family, probably they're worth like $500 trillion. They're one of the top 7 families who control the world, and they're behind the Puna geothermal venture, which has been fracking Kilauea. And I have lots of evidence on that in some of my other videos, and they are planning all this. All the hurricanes that hit for a message and for other reasons and to just different things. So Rothschild happens to be associated with Albert Miller on this movie years before, and Rothschild family is one that are funding Puna geothermal venture, which is all records, by the way. This is all white papers and everything. And then he, on the ID where you see his name actually smudged out AL, but then it says Bert Miller, then it just so happens to match in English gematria, LeBron James and Kim Jong-un. And that's somewhat telling as well. The reason why is because LeBron James's Jewish gematria also is 9:23. And so now we're going in a circle here. Things are connecting here. It's crazy. It's kind of weird, okay, but it's getting really freaky in how this stuff connects. And then the reason why Kim Jong Un is weird is because of right here. Look at this. This, if you know anything about this, you've seen this picture with him in front of a jet that says 239, so not 923. And so he's associated with this as well. In fact, there's a picture I should have gotten, now that I think about it. There's a picture with the Clintons they went to visit North Korea, secretly actually, and they are with Kim Jong-il, the father, Kim Jong-il, and they are standing in front of a huge mural of, it's basically New York City with a massive water and tsunami in front of it. It's crazy. In North Korea, with the Clintons, with Kim Jong-il, Kim Jong-un's father. I mean, really? And then he's in front of 923 or 239. I mean, are you kidding me? And then he's associated with this guy in this movie. And I mean, all this stuff, it's just crazy. I mean, this is, when you start adding all these numbers up, it just is impossible for all this stuff to happen. Okay, it's just impossible. So this is a big deal. These things are adding up, and they have all these messages that if you add all these messages up and you look at all this, it's impossible for it just to be chance. Okay, so here, that's Kim Jong-un. Another part of that would be that he may be blamed, and North Korea may be blamed for this, for it being an attack. Okay, the other possibility is this. This is from a movie, another movie, and it shows 20. There was a 9 in there as well on the other thing, a 923. I'm not getting into all that right now, but this is a meteorite or an asteroid coming in this movie, and it just so happens to be that those crosshairs in between 23 and 24, like 923/924, right? So, in all these different disaster movies as well, a lot of them show a comet coming, like Deep Impact, and some of the ones you just saw, there was, asteroids coming in and all that kind of stuff. So the two things I think are possible is that because this is the second 9/11, is that it's going to, either Russia's going to be blamed or Kim Jong-un, because stuff could deteriorate or whatever, and they're going to be blamed, and they're going to find out, just like these false chemical attacks in Syria, and it was been blamed on Assad, but the American government did it. The deep state did it, basically, to try and, so they have a reason to attack Syria and start World War III, but it's in process. World War III is about to completely go right now. All the tensions are super high. Russia's planes are getting knocked down, and all kinds of stuff's going on right now. So it's ready for World War III, and guess what? If Russia's blamed for these tsunamis that happen, World War III is in full swing. Or it's going to be some kind of crazy faked comet attack, not comet, but meteorite strike on the West Coast and on the East Coast, or something like that. So I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but these are my hunches right now. So just so you know what I'm thinking, what the possibilities are. So I'm showing you that 923 is a very good possibility. Now, 923 and 924, today and tomorrow, okay, are high probability times. Okay, and I'm pretty much saying that it's a huge percentage chance. I'm not saying it's absolutely going to happen. I don't know the future. I don't have a crystal ball. What I've said 1,000 times. And if you don't believe that, that's okay. I mean, but I can't say it any more clear. I don't know the future. I don't know what's going to happen. But like a lawyer or like a detective, I'm following the case. I'm getting leads, and that's what I'm making some judgments, and I'm making a stand on some truth, and I'm trying to warn people. So if you see some of this information and you see that it's can be credible or possible, at least possible, and if you know people on the West Coast or possibly in Hawaii, get them out right now. Maybe it's too late for Hawaii, I don't know, but if you're in Hawaii, get out. Leave now. Get a boat. I don't know. Get the heck out of there. Whatever you can do. It's coming. If it's not today or tomorrow, it's going to be very, very soon. Very, very soon. It's going to happen this year. There's so many things about this year. It's insane. It's insane. As far as the exact day, that's a little bit less clear. I mean, I think I'm showing a lot of clarity here, but that's the best I can do is give you the evidence that I have, and I think it's enough to say, get out of there. Okay, and if you know anybody on the West Coast, tell them to get out. Show them this. Tell them to come here. If you're on the West Coast, get out. If you're on the East Coast, get out. Get a few hundred miles off the East Coast. If you're in New York, get out. I beg you. And I pray in the name of Jesus Christ, Father, that you would alert as many people from dreams or whatever. I mean, visions right now. I mean, I don't know if we have time for dreams. It could happen today or tomorrow. So I'm putting this out there, and I've spent all my day putting this together and not being with my family on my day off because I care about people and I want them safe and I want them saved. And you know what? The Lord told me very clearly, unfortunately, and I've debated with him so many times. I'm like, is there another way? Or how I want to save more people. And he's like, well, unfortunately, people are where they're at. And well, I don't control people. And so I'm like, well, what's the point of me knowing all this? He says, because most people won't believe until after this stuff's happened. And then they'll start believing. And then they'll wake up because they're sleeping right now. They'll wake up and a certain amount will come to me. Some will just be stuck. A lot of it will be stuck and they'll be super stubborn and they're going to have to go through a lot of tribulation to wake up. But some will listen, some will come and they'll get in the ark and they'll leave with you. And some, I mean, their hearts will not open up. I'm going to have to crack open their heart, and they're going to have to go through some hard stuff for me to get to them. And I don't like that. But that's just what it is. So this is where I'm leaving it right now. And I pray in the name of Jesus Christ that God's love would seep into your heart and that you would see this. And if you already know this and you see this, then you know we're almost there. The Lord's almost here. We're almost going home, finally. And I am still conflicted both ways. I want to have more joy, but all I can think about is helping people and people dying. And I don't want to think about that anymore. So take this however you can for good. Share this with as many people as you can. I beg you. I absolutely beg you. On my knees, beg you. Please. As many people as possible, please. This is Exalted Lamb 1. Over and out.